All right. Let's get some music going. There we go. All right. Hello, welcome back to Three Skulls Tavern. It's January 2021, and I'm back after a fairly long break for Christmas and ready to get stuck back into the whole streaming game again for 2021. I'm starting off with something a little bit different to what I've got planned. I'm jumping into my dev diary, and hold on a second. No, we're all good. I thought I had Flux just kicking in for some reason. Anyway, yeah, 2021 is going to be quite big for this channel in that I've really shaken up the format. Instead of having monthly actual play content, I'm moving to having 2 campaigns on the go at one time, and they're each going to be running every other week. So at any time on a Sunday, you'll be able to come onto the show and watch an actual play campaign in progress. Yeah, and they're all going to be running every 2 weeks. So there's going to be more happening more frequently, and yeah, I think that's generally just going to be a much better way to handle things. So that's not kicking off yet. All 3 of the campaigns that we've got going on the channel are unfinished. They're the challenge to myself and the other 2 GMs is to bring all of them to a close, like in the next episode that's going to be running. So they're going to be season finales for all 3 of them. Those are all going to be running starting next week and through January. And when those are all finished, we're going to be jumping straight into our first actual play campaign, Coriolis, and then in March, Alien's going to start up. I'm not going to be GMing either of those. I'm going to be a player in both of those, but yeah, that's not why this why this video is. That's not the purpose of this video right now. So this video is going to be talking about Year Zero Mini. Just a quick overview of what this game is. I have been working on this game for probably about a year and a half, I guess, ish. It's been on the DTRPG store since I think March of last year as a beta, a free beta. And I've been intending to get it fully released to kind of version 1.0 at a price, so I'm actually going to be charging money for it. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that as a pay what you want sort of format or some other way. I haven't decided on that just yet. But I would like to start earning a little bit of money off of this game fairly soon. So the idea is to get this game finished up to version 1.0 as quickly as possible, so it's out there, people are using it, and yeah, I mean, it's already there as a play test sort of game. People can play it already, but I do want to try and get it finished, draw a line in the sand with it, and move on to some of my other projects. I do plan to come back to Year Zero Mini from time to time. There are a number of spin-offs I've got planned for it, which you can see here on the first page. Year Zero Kids, Year Zero Light, Year Zero Solo, a bunch of settings, translations, that sort of thing. But really, after this is finished, I'm going to be focusing my development efforts on some other things, some bigger things like Pitchfork, Nord Saga I'd like to get back stuck into after Pitchfork's done, and the kids game I've just talked about, I actually really want to get that out as well. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at today. The program you're looking at in front of you, oh, I just had a quick glance at the chat. Christian, Attila, and Slimeful, hello, thanks for joining. Yeah, so the program, if you've not seen it before, is called Affinity Publisher. It's a fully featured, quite powerful rival to Adobe InDesign. Adobe InDesign is what most people have been using for a long time, but Affinity Publisher came out a few years ago with like a public beta, and I think last year or the end of 2019, it fully released. I bought it like on sale, like I think a day or two after it came out, because I'd been playing around with the beta, and I've been using it ever since. And I really like the program. It's really got tons and tons of great features to it. They keep adding to it and updating it all the time, so it just can do more and more. The one downside to it, which is quite a fairly big downside for role-playing, is that it struggles to handle tables. That's why there aren't too many tables in Year Zero Mini, because even in a game that is only about, what says here, 9 pages long, you know, if I was to put more than sort of 2 or 3 tables in this thing, the whole thing would slow down. It would feel like it was a memory hog. It would struggle to kind of, you know, go from page to page, that sort of thing. And I've noticed this on Nord Saga, and another game that I've been working on in the past, where I added tables to it, and I think I only added like 5 or 6 tables in total, and I noticed it slowing down. So it's something to be aware of if you want to use Affinity Publisher. It's just something that you'll have to put up with or work around. It has been raised on their forum, so they are aware of it. I don't know when a fix is going to be coming or if a fix will be coming, but hopefully it's on I know it's on the radar, so hopefully we'll see something happening with it. Anyway, other than that, it's really great. It's really powerful. It's really easy to use. It's pretty user-friendly, and that's what I'm going to be using today. So Year Zero Mini, what I'm working with now, I'm calling this version 1.04. That's because I've done a number of snapshots of 1.0 that I have been asking people to take a look at to do some sort of... some people have done some proofreading for me, some minor edits, that sort of thing. And just to try and keep the revision history kind of clear in my head, I've been numbering the 1.0 versions, the revisions, even though I haven't actually got a version 1.0 released yet. So that's why I'm on version 1.04. That's my latest working one. So here's what I'm going to be working on today. I consider this first page and the second page, well, technically the introduction page and the first page, to be finished. I worked on those in my last dev diary. I've got a page here for the core rules, and I've got a bit of a gap here. And that gap is because I've moved conflict out from being mixed between the core rules section and the Game Master section to have its own section. And the reason for that, I didn't think it really needed it. I didn't want to treat conflict or combat as like a separate type of thing. And I just wanted people to kind of just play with it in the fiction, play with it within the narrative, and not really have too much to do with it. But there was a ton of feedback coming back from playtesting that people were confused about how conflict should work. So I thought, okay, maybe it makes sense to pull the conflict sections all together, put a page in specifically around conflict, include things as I've got, you can see here in the middle, include things like chases, these climatic scenes I've talked about before, which are the same thing as what's called extended trouble in Tales from the Loop, or like a simplified version of that. And also just kind of talk a little bit around combat as well. So combat, of course, takes up the most space because that's what people have wanted to know about. But I feel kind of happy with that. So I need to really address this, either give some examples or add some more content in here so it's kind of not like 2/3 of a page. So that's one thing I'm going to be working on today. Game mastering section is basically finished. I have a table, I think my one table here. I need to put some more entries in. I have a whole blank page here, which is something I wanted to work on last time. And I do actually have another slot for potentially a dev diary coming up at the beginning of February, I think. Actually, I think the 7th of February. So if I haven't finished Year Zero Mini by then, I might actually come back and do this entire page as a Year Zero Mini thing. But it's also something I want to think about and talk about today as well, whether I actually need this, or whether it's something that people can kind of use themselves or use some other resources to do them like themselves. So what is it really adding to Year Zero Mini? Do I think it's worth keeping? And if not, take it out. And I don't just want to do the lazy approach and think I just want to get this out, so I don't have time for it, take it out. I did think before that it could really add something, and I still think there's some value to it, so I'm going to be looking at that as well, but not initially. And then the last step is making a setting, and the making a setting is basically finished. Then I have the character sheet. Character sheet is finished. I've got preview. I can put a preview mode on so you can see what this looks like without all the like layout lines. It looks like that. And then last but not least, because this is technically a Year Zero engine game, I have to put the Open Gaming license in. So that's what this is here. It's got my little edited bit at the back. All right, so let's jump in. One thing I need to think about here is the core rules. The idea here is that you print this when you're printing this game off. You're printing it off double-sided, right? So you've got the introduction page and this kind of how to build a character on one side. You can basically print multiple ones of your character off and give them to your characters. In fact, one thing you could do is you could take this. This is something worth thinking about. You can make character sheets double-sided. No, because they're half a page. That wouldn't work. I was thinking maybe you could make character sheets double-sided, so you have how to build a character on one side and the actual character sheet on the other side, and then just hand that to a player. I guess I could redesign the spreadsheet a bit so that it could be kind of doing in steps, and you've got like a trifold sort of thing where you open it up and it's got your character sheet on the inside, and when you like fold the flaps over, it's got like the steps on how to do it, something like that. Yeah, maybe. maybe. But I don't think I'm going to do that for this first release. That might be something worth thinking about as an alternative character sheet. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I need to have a think about what I want to do here for the core rules. What I want to build in here to, like, because I've got this extra space. I could think of some artwork, put some artwork in here. That's an option, I guess. Maybe move something like advancement and down. I like actually advancement and downtime where it is. Yeah, I kind of like these two columns exactly as they're laid out. I don't really move them around too much. So if I put artwork, it's either going to be in between these two or something. I'll have to find something to put in there as well. Cool. So I'll come back to that. Conflict's where I want to start now. So conflict, I'm talking about combat as a kind of overview of how combat works, and saying that you don't really need initiative for this game. It should be fine to run in a completely narrative manner, that sort of thing. I do say if you want to add initiative, go ahead and just use whatever method you think feels best. I don't really feel like I need to give that permission to people. But it's worth adding in there just in case people want it, I guess, because there were questions about one person asked about initiative, how you did initiative in this game. Yeah. So I figured I could kind of put 2 lines in, kind of just saying, if you want to have initiative, do what you want. But yeah, we'll see. I could put a little caveat in the beginning and just say that this is so lightweight and so narrative, that if you want to bring any combat rules from your favorite game, that it should be able to slot in fairly easily because there's such a light framework here. And that could include things like, that would just be a catch-all for things like initiative or falling damage or those sorts of things, rather than kind of addressing it piecemeal. But I don't think I have addressed it anywhere else. It was literally just initiative that I kind of put that in. We'll see. I'll have a think about it. Okay. So then we talk about attacking and defending. How you roll if you are attacked. How you roll if you are the one doing the attacking. How complications work. All pretty straightforward. Yeah. So Slimeful's saying here for initiative, you roll a skill test, and if you succeed, you go before your enemies. If you fail, you go after. That's my favorite as well. I'm using that in Pitchfork. Yeah. Anyway, you can do quite a lot with it. It actually runs quite fast at the table, even though you're rolling constantly, like you're rolling for initiative every single round. But again, whatever people, I actually said that here as well. Whatever method you're most familiar with. The first thing I called off was whether you have each PC make a test each round, drawing cards, or rolling a d6 and adding a relevant attribute score. So I've kind of called off 3 different ways you could do it. And I put the priority to making a test every round because I think that's actually the best. Although I haven't really said that you start before your enemies, but whatever. Yeah. So the one thing I was thinking about adding in here is talking about something that is specific to the Year Zero engine at least many of the Year Zero engine games, not all of them. Forbidden Lands doesn't do this. And that is something called stunts. And in combat, basically, you roll to like hit somebody. When you hit them, you do damage. And if you get more than one success, you can spend those successes to do additional things, like move your opponent around on the battlefield. You can cause them to drop their weapon. You can cause them to fall prone. You basically have this. You can grapple them as well. So it's like you do the damage and then you can grapple them if you want to. So you kind of have this ability to, or this kind of permission to really narratively engage with your enemy through extra successes. And I kind of like that, and I think that could work well here. The only downside to it, I think, is that the way this game works is that it's player facing. Players make all the rolls. And some enemies, the harder enemies, will have something called a special trait. That's on this page here. And the special traits are basically a number of successes that you need to get to beat the enemy, right? And they're going to be scored, if they have a special trait, it's either going to be a 2 or a 3, because if it's a 1, it's just like, what's the point in writing a 1 down? You just need 1 success anyway. And yeah, I think by adding that into the rules, which is also from Tales from the Loop, by saying some enemies are going to require you to get 2 or even 3 successes to overcome them, what's the point in adding stunts in for additional successes? Yeah. So I'm gonna leave it out. Again, I want to try and keep it narrative. I want to try and keep the focus on it being a narrative system, a narrative conflict system. So I think the more I add in here, the more it's basically I'm adding complexity to combat. And the more complexity I add, it's going to be, I know myself, it's going to be a slippery slope down into crunch, which I don't really want to add. So I kind of have it exactly as I like it from last time. I talk about range, where the further you are from somebody, the harder it is to hit them. And if you're point blank, maybe you get -2 dice to... the difficulty increases, I've said. The difficulty increases, and I'm saying it's -2 dice. And I think I've said... Oh, no. Okay, right. So this game does have... I have actually... sorry, I'm getting a little bit mixed up with Pitchfork here. Which has a lot of Vazen in it. So yeah, it's fine. So you can... Basically, some of your dice pool get reduced based on your range. I've changed armor from the default in terms of the Year Zero engine, and armor is going to be either like a 1 or a 2, but never more than 2, and that's how much damage it reduces, incoming damage it reduces. So it's just a little bit simpler way of handling armor if you want to have armor. Again, I could take that whole armor section out, and I wouldn't really be missing anything. People could just do it however they wanted. If I took that armor section out, I would probably add that little thing at the beginning about, if you have rules from your favorite combat game that you want to add in, feel free to do it. That sort of thing. Trauma. I'm happy with trauma. Trauma is basically covering 2 different types. You've got physical and mental trauma, which you've got down here. Harm and stress. And yeah, I do have the word broken, and I didn't want to change that. I want to get away from using the term broken, and I want to use the term incapacitated. So I'm going to first do a Control F. We're going to look for every mention of the word broken. All right, we're going to start from the top. So replace with incapacitated. All right, we're going to try and replace these now. Incapacitated. Not that one, because it's a broken nose. Next one. Okay, we got it here then. Incapacitated. Long word. And it doesn't fit, so I'll have to fix that. All right. Incapacitated. All right, so I think the easiest way to do this is just to lower the font size a bit to 10. That works. The reason I'm doing this is because I had a chat with somebody who has a disability, and they told me that it's quite disheartening to see certain terms in video games, and the one that they actually mentioned was broken. So it really kind of hit me, made me really think about that, where that term broken is often used for people with disabilities, and yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot that goes into this topic, and I don't really want to delve into it too much right now, but I did dwell on it quite a lot, and I really felt quite strongly that the term broken, I think, doesn't really deserve a place in the game, because yeah, what happens to you is you get incapacitated. You're basically knocked out of the game for a short period of time, and there's potential that it could kill you, which is how these scars and disorders come into play. But most of the time, you're like the default is that you get healed and you're kind of back up on your feet and running again. So you're kind of incapacitated for a time. So that word works. It is long, and I think maybe that's why broken is used, is because it's snappy, it's short. I mean, there are other terms I could. In fact, I'm going to look and see if there's a different term for incapacitated I could use. So let's do a quick look here. We're going to go to thesaurus.com, and we're going to type in incapacitated. If you've got any ideas in chat, feel free to mention them. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are similarly problematic. The other thing is that it needs to be the kind of same term for both being physically incapacitated and mentally incapacitated. I mean, immobilized kind of works. The other word I could use is down. You're down. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, right? You're down. Broken, down, incapacitated, down. I just go down. Fuck it. I'm gonna do that. Oh, I'm very sorry. We're gonna pick incapacitated out of here. Yeah, Attila, hurt is already used for my physical trauma. It would, and hurt, yeah. I do like hurt, but I'm already using it. So we're gonna look for oh my god. Incapacitated. Here we go. Incapacitated. We're gonna say down. When all 3 trauma of one type are marked and you take a 4th trauma, you become downed. Downed? You become down. No. Downed. We're going to call it downed. Yeah. Yep. Healing a downed character. Downed. Yep. I like this. It's simple. It does the job. That's it. Done. Alright, I'm going to make these bigger again. So I think I can just highlight the multiple boxes like this. One here. Oh god. Of course. Harm tracks, stress tracks. Oh god, that's taking too long. Forget it. I'll do it this way. 12, enter. Alright. Oh, hurts, not harm. You're right, I don't have hurt. I have harm, not hurt. Yeah, I like downed though. I'm gonna stick with downed. Oh, what happened here? These have moved position. Ah, alright. Just need to bring it back like so. Alright. Let's do a quick save. Alright, cool. Alright. So that's trauma. Okay, so I need a conflict example still. I have some examples here. Oh yeah, and they're really short. Yeah, this used to be a lot longer. This was like 4 lines before. I shortened it. All right, let's get rid of this. I'm gonna copy and paste this bad boy in because this has the formatting I want for an example. There we go. Oh, that was odd. Okay. All right, here we go. Nope. Interesting. All right. All right, let's have a think about a conflict example. Oh God, I gotta think of a genre. I gotta really think about something very specific here. Let's do something Star Warsy. Previous examples I've had to do with picking a lock, which kind of implies a fantasy setting. So do something a little bit different. Do something space opera-ish. Your smuggler PC enters the canteen. Han Solo entering the cantina. In not so many words. Your smuggler enters the canteen. Your smuggler PC walks up to the canteen's bar and orders a drink. Your smuggler PC. Don't think I've been playing it. I don't think they're using that sort of terminology. Let me keep this consistent. I haven't. So I'm gonna say you. You enter the canteen and walk up to the bar to order a drink. Wow, that's hard to read even for me. I'm like on my screen. You enter the canteen and walk up to the bar to order a drink. A hand on your shoulder spins you roughly around. It's your nemesis. What's a play on Greedo? Greedo's a Rhodian, so let's look at those two words. Grodian. Slimeful, you asked what kind of artwork do I use in a genreless game? You use any kind of artwork you want, basically, because any genre fits, right? You can just kind of either try and keep it very generic, or you just kind of mix and match. You can use some sci-fi stuff in one place, some fantasy stuff in another. There are no real hard and soft rules for it. We're going to call him Grippo. That's too close. Gripa. It's your nemesis Creepa, and she looks angry. No, and she's holding a las gun. And she's pointing a las gun at your belly. That's a lot of lines just to set up a conflict example. I'm having too much fun with this. That's the thing, is it needs to be readable as well. You tell the GM that you want to keep the momentum from being spun to chop the las gun out of the way. The GM asks for an agility roll, agility test. Which you succeed at. The GM asks for an agility test, which you succeed at. The las gun goes flying, but the GM tells you that Gripa throws herself at you, grappling you in her powerful arm, trying to grapple you. In the meantime, your friends notice what is happening and come to your aid. So, I don't know if that's actually a very good conflict example, because I've only got one test in there. I've got an agility test. We're talking about the GM saying that you're just about to be grappled before. I mean, kind of talking about how the action is being swapped from one to the other. It's just kind of spotlight is being passed wherever it kind of belongs, and tests are being made when they need to be made. I think it'll be okay for now. So I'm just going to tidy it up to bring. So this is where the editing comes into play. My layout is pretty set in stone here. So what I really need to do is I need to bring this word aid with 3 dots back in line with this so that it all fits on one page. I sometimes if I have like a one or two words at the end of a sentence that are going onto another line, I can massage the text a little bit to try and bring that back in. But in this case, I don't think that's going to work. So for one thing I can look at is I can highlight all this, and I can play around with some of the formatting here, and I can say, okay, first of all, let's look at hyphenation. I'm using auto hyphenation already, but there is no hyphenation happening on the ends of these sentences. So I can try and take that off and say, don't use auto hyphenation. Hyphenation? It's hyphenate. It should be hyphenation. I think they're missing an H in there. I want the minimum word length. We can drop this down. Use auto. Okay, I gotta do it that way. Minimum prefix. I can say, not really doing anything. Okay, that's not working because I don't really have any long words that can be hyphenated here. So we're gonna go over to character instead, and I'm going to slightly compress the spaces between letters to just bring it in ever so slightly. So this is a little trick I can do. I'm gonna look at this. I'm just decreasing it by 5%, which isn't very much, and it's brought the aid back into the line. So that's a really, really simple thing I can do. It's not going to be noticeable by most people, and job done. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. That's a nice, easy fix. So there we go. All right. So I got one conflict example. I then have this climatic scene. I've left a big space here for climatic scenes because they're pretty hard to kind of wrap your head around, I think. So, yeah, this one also needs to have the same format like this one. I'm just gonna get rid of this. You and your friends. Okay, we've just had a Star Wars example of Han and Greedo scrapping in a bar. What can I use for a big climatic scene that I can that won't take too long to explain? I'm just trying to think of some sort of common scenes that people can kind of relate to, very famous ones, like The Matrix, for example. Let's think about The Matrix, because there's lots of these kind of big climatic scenes in The Matrix. Which I haven't watched in a very long time. It's one of my favorite films. I'm just... My mind is going to the bit where... Neo becomes the one, right? Everyone's getting out of the Matrix. Because the agents are closing in. And Neo is the last one. And he puts his hand on the telephone when it's ringing to come out. And everyone's there on the ship waiting for him, leaning over his, like, you know, his jacked in body, waiting for him to wake up. And he gets shot by an agent and doesn't pick up the phone. And he's, like, touching his, you know, there's blood on his fingers and all the rest of it. And the agents are there. But then that's when he ascends and becomes the chosen one or whatever, and starts like stopping the bullets. But that's maybe not that's probably a bit too complicated. But the idea is that everyone's working together to try and you know, get out of there. And that's maybe more of a chase scene, actually, thinking about it, than a climatic. I mean, you could use climatic scene framework for a chase, but I actually have chases kind of laid out here. What am I gonna do here? Climactic scene. I guess I could use the climactic scene from our playtest, which was a kind of Victorian-ish, well, Edwardian, I should say, sort of odd fantasy game. You and your friends are trying to stop a ghost. Are trying to put a ghost to rest in the ruins of an old country house. You've got all the supplies you need. Now all you need is a plan. Each of you describe how you want to confront the ghost. One of you will draw its attention. One will throw... I can't remember exactly what we all did here. One will throw salt. No. One of you will withdraw its attention. One of you will sneak into its well to recover its bones. And one of you will attack it with a silver sword you just bought. It's hard. Three times the number of PCs. The GM determines that this is going to be hard, requiring a total of 9 successes. You each take turns narrating your confrontation with the ghost. Rolling the relevant skills for on your turn. Unfortunately, you only roll total Unfortunately, you only roll a total of 5 successes. And you will attack it with the silver sword you just bought. Unfortunately, you have a roll of 5 successes. You discuss taking trauma and decide it makes the most sense for you to take a heavy blow. For you to take a heavy blow when confronting it. You take 3 harm. You agree to take 3 harm while your friends each take 1 stress. No, how about this? You discuss taking trauma and decide it makes the most sense for you all to take 1 stress for the anxiety from anxiety, and for you to take the remaining trauma as a heavy blow when confronting it. 2 harm. You each take turns narrating how you are confronting how you confront the ghost. How you confront the... You each take turns narrating how you can... rolling the relevant skills on your turns and tying the results into your narrative. Unfortunately, you only roll a total of 5 successes. You discuss taking trauma and decide it makes the most sense for you all to take 1 stress from anxiety, and for you to take the remaining trauma as a heavy blow when confronting the ghost head on. And for you to take the remaining 2 harm. There we go. Makes a little more sense. The GM narrates how your actions result in the ghost's remains being found and salted just as the ghost is preparing a fatal blow on your downed body. Success. All right. Typos. You and your friends are trying to put a ghost to rest in the ruins of an old country house. You've got all the supplies you need. Now all you need is a plan. Let's put a semicolon in there. Now all you need is a plan. Each of you describe how you want to confront the ghost. One of you will draw its attention. One of you will sneak into its well. Into the well to recover and salt its bones. And you will attack it with the silver sword you just bought. The GM determines that this is going to be hard, requiring a total of 9 successes. You each take turns narrating how you confront the ghost, rolling the relevant skills on your turns, and tying the results into your narrative. Not sure this is going to work. Got an idea here. Jackie rolls 2 successes to draw the ghosts, to get the ghost's attention. Sean rolls. Jackie and Sean. I should probably name this after people I actually know. Christine rolls 2 successes to get the ghost's attention. Jonas rolls 1. Jonas rolls 2 successes to sneak into the well. But you only... roll 1 success. As you step out with your silver sword to keep it at bay. Unfortunately, that is only a total of 5 successes. You discuss taking trauma and decide it makes the most sense for you all to take 1 stress from anxiety. From fear at the sight of the ghost. And for you to take the remaining, and for you, I'm going to do a U in bold again, and for you to take the remaining traumas to harm while confronting the ghost head on. The GM narrates how your actions result. The GM narrates how you fall to the ghost just as its remains are found and salted. As the ghost prepares a fatal blow on your downed body, it suddenly disappears. Success! Alright, cool. I like that. That works. Alright. Look at that. Conflict example, climatic scene example, cooking with gas. This one needs to be indented, I feel. Like this one. Even though it's not an example, it's going to be indented anyway because it's actually not meant to be indented, so I'm going to take it away. I want to look at the chase scenes because I've been thinking about chases a lot over Christmas, and I'm not sure I've got this handled in the best way. So chases can be the highlight of a session. Think of how many films, books, and comics feature tense chases. They're also particularly relevant to this rule set since combat is quite harsh, and your characters are not as hardy as they might be in other games. To run a chase scene, the GM simply maps out a number of boxes equal to how long the chase should go on for. 6 boxes is the baseline, but this can increase or decrease depending on how long the GM wants the chase to last. Moving through each box should be a little narrative scene, complete with obstacles, dead ends, and other interactive scenery. In each scene, rolling a success for whatever obstacle or challenge you meet will move you forward, while failure will keep you in place. Extra success can move you 2 boxes forward instead of 1. If you want to split up, the GM can draw an extra row of boxes to run parallel from the point where you part ways. Doesn't talk anything. Okay, so this is not really the... Okay, so there's a very simple way of handling this. In each box, in each scene, take a token if you make a relevant skill test based on what you encounter, based on each scene, and take a token if you succeed. If you fail, the GM gets a token. When you have gone through all the boxes, whoever has the most tokens wins. You have won. When you've gone through all the boxes, you have won if you have 2 or more tokens than the GM. When you've gone through all the boxes, you have won if you have 2 or more tokens than the GM. Pretty straightforward. This is something that was talked about in Discord. quite a bit, chasings, and this was one of the solutions that somebody came up with. It might have even been Slimeful. I don't know if Slimeful, if you're still here, but somebody brought up this token system. Actually, it might have been Miyagi. I can't remember. Anyway, without checking it, but I kind of like that idea. The idea being, you kind of decide. I've said here 6 boxes is the baseline, but I think that might be a bit too much. I might say 5. Even 4 could be better, but yeah, 5 boxes is the baseline. Make a relevant skill test based on each scene, and take a token if you succeed. Taking it in turns. Make a relevant skill test based on each scene. Take a token if you succeed. If you fail, the GM gets a token. When you've gone through all the boxes, you have 1 if you have 2 or more tokens than the GM. You can push as normal. Each skill test can be pushed like normal. When you've gone through all the boxes, you have 1 if you have 2 or more tokens in the GM. Yeah, alright, I like that. Cool, alright. I have finished my conflict page. I wasn't thinking I would actually get this far today for some reason. Alright, let's finish this quick NPC table here. Mannerisms and appearances. So one thing I quite like for this is, well, let's just talk about this for example, as an example. Quick NPCs. There's actually a website I really like called, I'm going to try and find it here. I'm not going to find it. But there's one which talks about NPC voices, I think it's called. I think the website is something like Technical Grimoire or something like that. Let me do a quick web search. See how good my memory is. Look at that, saved. Oh, it's in another tab. That's a pin tab. Right, this is it. So if I go to technicalgrimoire.com, so this guy called David Shirduan has done a bunch of stuff, and if you go to his downloads here, he's got this thing called NPC Voices. Somebody shared this in the Mud and Blood Discord server, and I really like it. I've used it as a GM in some of my games, but the idea here is, you know, instead of trying different voices, instead of trying different accents, try using manners of speech, and it's exactly what I'm going through here, mannerisms. So probably some of the ones I've already picked out here previously, because when I wrote this previously, I didn't know this thing existed here. But, you know, frequently says you know. There's probably like repeating something. There isn't, but I kind of like that one. Constantly digressing. I think constantly digressing is one to take out, because it's not necessarily that straightforward what that means to a lot of people, I think. I quite like it, but I mean, if I'm only picking 6 examples out, there's other things to do. Refers to self in third person, I think, is a really nice one. Kind of a classic one. I'm gonna go with I like whispering a lot too, actually. A mannerism could be tendency to whisper. No, we'll just say whispers when attention on self. Whispers when attention is given. Do the same minus 5% trick. It's not working. I have to go all the way down to minus 15. But that works. You can still read it. It's a bit more compressed together, the letters. I think that's okay. Confident braggart. Loud and confident. Curious, nosy. Sticks nose in everyone's business. 10% on that one. It's another good example, mannerism. I did constantly digressing. How about constantly making jokes? Constantly cracking bad jokes. I'll highlight, make bad in italicized. Example appearances, all the piercings, dark rings under eyes, crookedly down nose? Oh, broken! Broken, I changed it down. Crookedly broken nose. Other appearances, ostentatious hat. Is that the right spelling for that? Yes, it is. What's another appearance? So, I mean, this can be facial things. It could be what they're wearing. So, food stains. No. We can go with some, heavily tattooed. I've got all the piercings, so I think that kind of don't really feel like I needed to go with tattoos as well. Not that they're related necessarily, but ostentatious hat. Dirty, disheveled clothes. Is that the right spelling? Disheveled? Doo-loo-loo-loo-loo. It is. Nope. Excuse me. Dirty, disheveled clothes. And the last one is going to be let's go with the sci-fi trope here. Dressed in all black. Mask 2. No, just say dressed in all black. Alright. Quick save. So I'm going to think about this page here with the core rules, but otherwise I'm closing in. So the next thing I want to think about is this random inspiration table thing. me think here. Find spark. Nothing else. Okay, so I haven't really mentioned this anywhere else. The intention behind here is that I actually have this open in another tab here. Electric Bastion Land. Electric Bastion Land has these spark tables where you roll for anytime you want to roll for. It's kind of like an oracle, right? So spark 1, spark 2. Spark 1 is like, I mean, like if I roll 2d20 right now, I get, whoa, an 11 and a 16. So I get paper crowd. Paper crowd. Okay, interesting. That could be a crowd who's gathering around because there's a paper's come out, a newspaper's come out, and there's like a big article in it, something like that. I could roll 17. Disputed 1. Society. Disputed society. Anyway, the idea is you can kind of roll these sparks, and they can kind of give you some ideas about anything when you kind of ask it a question. This is how oracles are kind of used. Ironsworn is probably the best example of an oracle that I can think of, just because they have such good ones. It has such good ones. Let me open Ironsworn and give you an example of what I mean here. No bookmarks in Ironsworn. Interesting. Okay, that's a little bit disappointing. So they are somewhere here. There's lots of them. Lots and lots and lots of them. But the good ones here are the action and the theme ones. So you roll D100 twice. 85 and 54. 85 is construct. 54, creature. Construct creature. And these can be used in lots and lots of different ways. They can be used for adventure. Like if the GM's building an adventure, they can be rolled for ideas, for plot hooks, or for motivations for NPCs, for really anything. And the idea is to actually have a really good set of tables that you can kind of roll on. The challenge here is that in Year Zero Mini, I'm only using D6s. And one thing I did, one way kind of when I get around this, because I'm not necessarily a huge fan of rolling D66s all the time, is having only tables that have that are basically a single D6 table, kind of like what I did up here previously with the example mannerisms and appearances. But then I'll have multiple adventure sparks. So the idea would be to do something like, just trying to think of how we would do this. So we could say something along the lines of this is really hard. Mainly because I know I'm recording a video and I'm putting myself at on the spot here. Let me just drink some beer because that's definitely gonna help. Okay. We want to build an adventure, right? We have a genre in mind. We want to think about plot, right? So when you think about plot, what are the elements of plot? Or in terms of plot, I mean like for an adventure. You need an antagonist, right? So we could talk about the antagonist. We could say, oh god. Let's go with heading, what heading number is this? This is heading 2. Let's go with heading 3 if I've got one. I don't have a heading 3, interesting. We'll fix that. Whoa, I can't write anything now. Antagonist. Antagonist motivation. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come up with some ideas. One second, because I want to actually make a header for this. So we're going to call this not 15 point. I'm going to call this 13 point, maybe. Make it Dominican italic. It's not that different, really. Let's call it 12 point, maybe. How big is this? 10 point. No, I don't like that. So what have we got here? We've got crimson text. We'll use crimson text here. So we'll go with the body text. We're going to make this bold and italic. And we're going to make it a bit bigger. We're going to make it 12 point. Like that. Hold on. I've done something else up here. What have I done here? 10 point Dominican italic. We're going to do that. Dominican italic, 10 point. There we go. All right. Antagonist motivation. Now we're going to switch. We're going to make this actually into header. Oh god. How do I do this? New style. We're going to call it header 3. Based on heading 2. We're going to call this heading 3, not header 3. Just so we're keeping consistent here. Next style is going to be numbered 1. And we're going to hit OK. Boom. Oh, God. Went up to 15 point. One at 10 point. Change it back. Go to text, text styles, and we update the paragraph style. So when I hit enter, hopefully this should bring up a numbered, the numbered list straight away. Boom. Sorted. Blah, 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 blah. 6 entries. Good. Then we're going to do antagonists. I'm going to copy this because I don't want to mess around with the formatting again. Antagonist motivation. Antagonists motivation. Antagonists problem. So we got the antagonist, right? Adventure sparks. We got the antagonist motivation, the antagonist problem. Yep. All right. Then we have how about the antagonist rival? This could either be somebody that's going to help the NPCs or something else. I'm gonna. So the big thing here, I want to try and restrict myself to. The kind of constraint I want to put on myself here is that each of these are going to be a kind of a sentence or a phrase, and I want them to fit on a single line here. I don't want them to go over the line. So when I'm going to be coming up with these, I want this to try and, that's kind of what I'm going to be trying to do. So however many of these I come up with, looks like I can come up with maybe 2 more. So if I copy this, go down here, yeah, that's kind of all I'm going to be doing. That's kind of all I'm going to be able to do in one column, the first column anyway. The other thing I wanted to talk about here, or possibly wanted to do, was some oracles. But I don't, actually thinking about it, I don't want to use oracles because there are lots and lots of good oracles already out there. So I'm going to just be doing adventure sparks. And I've talked about this random inspiration. We're going to talk about this. So these tables can be used to come up with some ideas for adventure. Can be used to inspire ideas for your adventure. Use as many or as few as you need. Come up with New tables. Yourself. So we've got the antagonist motivation, the antagonist problem, the antagonist rival. Then we can have what is happening at the adventures, at the start of the adventure. What is the antagonist's motivation? I'm gonna make these questions. What problem faces the antagonist? Who is the antagonist's main rival? What is happening at the start of the adventure? How do the players' characters know the rival? I mean, there's definitely some big assumptions here, right? Making assumptions that the players are the kind of hooks for the adventure are the rival, but I don't think that's a big problem necessarily. Look at this. I can fit all sorts of tables in here. Copy. Enter, get rid of that. Boom. Right. I'm going to have a ton of these to fill out. So I think the first step I'm going to take, I'm going to go do another pass through before I kind of use all of my time on this page. All my remaining time until I kind of run out of steam. I'm going to go back through and just see if everything else is kind of finished and where I want it, because I think it kind of is. Yeah, and assuming that it is, I basically can just start thinking about, until I run out of steam, just think about first categories for these sparks, and then I can slowly start populating them. And then I'm done, surprisingly, which is going to be pretty cool. Yeah, so let me have a quick look. Start at the front here. One thing that did hit me is that there might be, for a rules-like game, there might be too many of these character traits, but I did have people really like them in play, so I don't really want to take them away, so I'm gonna leave it. Yeah, but it did kind of strike me that I theoretically could take out something like the conviction or the impulse, and kind of simplify the characters a little bit. But I think one thing I could do is we get down here to making a setting and tweaking. I mean, I've already said this, you know, you can tweak the traits so conviction becomes pride, impulse becomes problem, and I'm specifically saying that because Pride is in Forbidden Lands. Problem is in, I think, quite a few games, but certainly in Coriolis, for example. So you could basically kind of bring your characters into this game, and all the Year Zero games have relationships too. So I kind of think it's okay because it does feel Year Zero engine-ish by having these three kind of traits here. Also, the look is a big thing with Year Zero engine as well. Concept kind of covers skill in a way. So really, this is very similar to Year Zero engine, to the Year Zero engine, which is why I'm kind of calling it Year Zero Mini. So yeah. Got rats in my ceiling. I can hear them just above my head, running around. All good. Right. But I'm happy with that. I don't really change that, so that's fine. Chance of success. This is one of the other tables I have. I've added this in. I think it's important to show chance of success, because when you talk about, like, you've got 6 dice, what does that even mean? Like, how likely am I going to be able to roll a success? Here it tells you've got 67% chance of rolling a single 6, 87% chance if you push it. It's interesting I'm talking about pushed rolls here. Before I've even talked about how you can push. Which is under luck points. So we're going to swap that around. That's a good spot here. Talking about pushing rolls before we even talked about how to do it. So luck points. And you'll notice that the table here didn't move. That's because the table is fixed in place. So I've got to bring this down like that. There we go. I haven't called it pushing, I've called it re-rolling. This is all good. On a re-roll. Chance of 1 success. Chance of 1 success. I'll leave this, I think, for now. What would be useful is to actually have the probabilities for multiple successes rather than just 1 success. But yeah. All right. Going in. Random inspiration. What is the antagonist's motivation? What problem faces the antagonist? Who is the antagonist's main rival? How do the player characters know the rival? What is happening at the start of the adventure? All right. I mean, I've got some books actually I can look at for some ideas about categories here. Let me look. I have a big book here from Frog God Games called The Tome of Adventure Design. a comprehensive adventure creation sourcebook for swords and wizardry in the Pathfinder role-playing game. Published in 2009, I guess? 2011. By Matthew J. Finch. Yeah. It's broken up into kind of 4 books. The first book is Principles and Starting Points. Book 2 is about monsters. Book 3 is Dungeon Design. And Book 4 is Non-Dungeon Adventure Design. Now, I'm not interested in dungeon design. I'm not interested in monsters for this. I'm interested in Principles and Starting Points and the Non-Dungeon Adventure Design. So I'm going to start there. I'm just going to look at some of the categories that are here. Just rather than, like, pull tables out of this book, I'm going to look at, you know, what sort of adventure sparks would be good to have here. So we got locations, we've got purpose approach. Approach number 1, purpose approach. Okay, missions. Now missions could be good. Missions is what Coriolis has as well. Yeah. Missions might be a good idea here. How many have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I could change this and say something about a mission, and you roll 1 through 6, and the option you roll here actually dictates which of these, because there's six tables here. Rolling on here dictates which of these you roll on next. So that could be an idea. So, how do the characters know the rival? What mission does the rival want to send the PCs on? What mission does a rival have for the PCs? Okay, so we've got 6 types of missions. We've got N. We have a infiltration mission. I don't want to make these very violent, so this is one of the things I've got here to make it a little bit more interesting. Infiltration. We have a mission to do with. In fact, I'm gonna actually populate it here because this makes a bit more sense. Infiltration mission. An infiltration mission. A delivery mission. An info gathering mission. Info gathering missions. What else have I got? Hey Attila. I have thought about this, yeah. So at the moment I wouldn't do that because it's only basically like 6 pages long, and it's designed to be printed at home because it's like black and white. One thing I did think about was making a version of this that is kind of a small paperback that you could kind of print out. But really the idea behind this is that it can be printed at home fairly easily. So the printing options with DriveThruRPG are all bound options, so like things bound into a book with a spine and either staples or whatever, and that doesn't really fit how this game is kind of designed to be interacted with. So for this game, I don't know is the answer. Maybe if so, one idea I have for this is lots of additional settings. In fact, if I talk about that very quickly at the beginning here, one of the things I talk about I want to do for this is create this like kids spin-off game. I want to create a Year Zero Light, which is going to be a completely different Meteor game. That will definitely be a printable one. Year Zero Solo, which will have solo rules for playing this. That could be added to this settings, so I could come up with a couple of different settings and include those in here. And the idea being that if I have something that's a bit more of like a deluxe version of this, then I could format it so that it was basically in a kind of easy to read format, like a paperback, and not a very big paperback. And then you buy that, print on demand, and you get like a little like printable copy of it. I'll show you some examples of what I mean. Now I think this might be possibly one of the smallest sizes that DriveThruRPG will print, and it's not that small really. I think it might even be A5. Hold on. Actually, I think it is A5. No, it's close to A. It's very, very close to A5. But for example, I have this game called Neon City Overdrive, which is bigger. It's both wider and taller than this Rats in the Walls, this kind of cosmic horror game. But from Lulu, I have this game here called Tricube Tales, and this is a very rules-light game, and it basically is exactly this kind of what I would do if I was to do something like this. So that's a nice little kind of pocket format type of book to make. I don't know if I'm going to do that, so we'll see. Definitely Year Zero Light. I have plans that'll be a little bit more crunchy than this. I could definitely format that. I wouldn't be formatting it like this anyway. The whole point of this format is inspired by Maze Rats and Knave, which is kind of this layout on a single sheet of paper for landscape-wise. So you can print it out and it's really easy to reference. So you kind of almost have like your GM sheet by having the game almost. So I quite like that, because if you think about this, the core rules are one page, conflict is another page, game mastering is another page. Those are 3 pages. Those are the only 3 pages you need when you're running the game. So you could put those into a 3-panel GM screen really easily, and you've got your whole game. That's everything you need to reference. Random inspiration is more for prepping or planning at the beginning of a game, or while the characters are creating characters, the GM could basically roll on these random inspiration tables and come up with a quick idea, like a quick set of, some quick inspiration for running the game. So you don't really need that for more than just rolling on for, a kind of a one-off at the start of a game. And making a setting is also, this would be a one-off thing that you're doing in prep to prepare a setting. You wouldn't necessarily need this during the game. So the whole point behind this is that you kind of got these 3 sheets of paper. It was originally just 2. I've obviously split conflict out, so it makes it a bit bigger. Yeah, and you've kind of got your whole game there on 3 sheets of paper. For the players, they only have, you could print the core rules and the conflict double-sided, give that to the players as a kind of player reference sheet, and that has all the rules that they need in it. The game mastering, obviously they don't need to see that. That's for the game master. Yeah. So no, I don't think maybe if I'm doing a deluxe version sometime down the road, I can do something with this. And really, I've got 10 point. The size of the text is 10 point, which is quite small, not very easy to read. I could increase that to something like 12 point. With margins and everything else, then certainly I can make probably like a 30-page like mini booklet out of this, maybe even more. But I've got to ask if it's worth the time and effort. Maybe it would be. But for now, I just want to get out there. I want it to be played, and it could be that I do something like that with more examples, and I'm not as restricted with because right now I'm very restricted with word count, by trying to fit everything within the page. If I was moving to a book format, I don't necessarily need to be that restricted with that, so I can actually spend a bit more time talking about some of these concepts, adding more concepts in or more bits in. Yeah, and I could have a bit more freedom when it comes to things like that. So that's certainly a draw, and maybe it's something I can think about doing. But for now, as I said, I really just want to get this out into people's hands so they can play it. And again, Maze Rats is a massive inspiration for me here. Maze Rats, if I just show you what that game looks like if you're not familiar, let me just open it quickly. Maze Rats, there we go. Open with Zodo. This is what Maze Rats looks like. Yep, it's got 4 columns instead of my 3 columns, but it talks about playing the game. It's got character creation on a single page. It's got magic on a single page. Monsters and animals on a single page. Characters on a single page. 2 pages, I should say. Treasure and equipment. All about the city, the wild, the maze. GM's guide with a sample game on it. So like half a page just devoted to how you run a game. How to prep a session. How to run a game. How to build the world. And the things. So 12 pages, like no wasted space on there. And that kind of really inspired how I wanted to lay this out. Not in terms of like actual content, having the same page pages, like what's in the pages, the page contents, but in terms of like how it's laid out, I really like that. So, yeah. And Maze Rats doesn't have another format other than that. It's a very, very successful game. If I go onto DTRPG and show that very quickly, you'll be able to see how successful that is. I think it's beyond a gold seller. Anyway, going down a rabbit hole. We'll see. Maybe not. Probably not. So we got info gathering missions. We got delivery missions, infiltration mission. Well, let's go with a... What other kind of missions would people be sent on? What would the PCs be sent on? That isn't violent. Might need to come back to this. So if we got the antagonists, maybe I need to do this in order, really. What's the antagonist motivation? Well, I mean, a big motivation is greed. Greed. Earn as much money as possible at any price. You have power. Earn as much money as possible is kind of a boring phrase, so I need to think about this. We'll do greed first. We'll do power. Come up with some other stuff later. We got greed. We got power. We've got maybe anarchy. Maybe we've got get rid of anarchy and call it chaos instead. Just thinking of Wolfrup here, the chaos gods and the chaos cultists. So if we think about some of the kind of classic, you know, think about films and stuff, classic antagonists and what their motivations are. Greed and power certainly are definitely among them. Chaos. I mean, power is a massive motivation, right? You get a lot of antagonists. Think about like Mad Max. Think about Star Wars. It's all about power and control. Greed is another big one, and that features in a lot of kind of famous stories and films and things. Chaos is a little bit more of a Wolfrupy sort of one. Again, I'm trying to keep this relatively genre neutral, right? Which makes it a bit hard to do. I need to kind of come up with some motivations here, which are... Oh, I've got an idea here. I can use the... I can maybe use something from Pitchfork, because I have something similar. In my village creator, I have under community the nobility, but quirks, D6 quirks: gluttonous, narcissist, paranoid, quarrelsome, possessed, cursed, hoarder, proud, zealous, capricious, hunted, or undead. So that's their quirk, right? Some of them are motivations, some of them aren't. Like zealous. Zealous is a good one. Whoops. Typing in the wrong window. Religious control. Making a statement about religion here. We'll put control. Power and control. I mean, they're kind of two sides of the same coin, really. Do it like this. Chaos, power, control. God, I'm really struggling here for some reason. I'm sure I had something else in here. Oh yeah, I do have something in here. Authority, benevolence, excess, independence, charity, peace, change, avarice, obedience, transcendence, manipulation, domination. Power, control, domination. I mean, again, domination is very similar to some of the stuff I've already come up with. I got one. Revenge. Bloody hell. Patron motivations. Look at that. Interesting. To gain status, I've kind of covered that, I feel like, under power to a certain extent. Protect wealth, reconciliation with, regain favor. I mean, again, these are from the perspective of a patron, not a nemesis, so I have a feeling that these are a little bit more benevolent. Theft, revenge, rescue. The villain's plan. Master table of villainous plans. Is that kind of what I want? Concealment. The villain is trying to conceal himself. Past activities. It's not really conversion. Trying to convert others. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking with control. Maybe proselytization is a better one. Trying to think of a better word for this. Proselytize. There's a good word. Reform. It could be religious reform, it could be something else, but trying to change the status quo. Yeah, I like that. Greed, chaos, power, reform. I'm glad I'm not going for more than a D6 table here. Reform, revenge. One that's listed here is reputation, which I kind of like. Call it infamy. And I think I've nearly done it already. We're gonna go and make this alphabetical. Chaos, greed, infamy, power, reform, and revenge. I like that. What problems face the antagonist? Associate. Next lever. Whoops, I don't want another one. An associate, next lever, an opponent. It could be a religious opponent, it could be a political opponent, it could be a business opponent. The idea is that the associate is somebody who works for them. Mentor. So Obi-Wan Kenobi being the main rival to Darth Vader, for example. Have a ruler. Maybe like the clergy. Religious. Or we can make it something a bit more mysterious and say anonymous. Or unknown. We don't know who the main antagonist's main rival is. It's an unknown person, or like a shadowy person who's not made their identity known. How do the PCs know the rival? Relative. Could be a friend. Could be a representative. Could be an employer. Could be what else? What else? How do the PCs know the rival? It could be a relative of theirs. It could be a friend of theirs. It could be a representative of theirs. So that representative, by representative, I mean, yeah, like a political figure or a religious figure, somebody who's kind of meant to represent them in some way, in some capacity. An employer. By employer, I mean somebody who actually is employing them currently in their day job kind of thing. But it could be somebody who wants to pay them to do something. So almost like a, what would you call that? Like somebody who pays for like a bounty hunter. I'm not sure on this one. It's a relative friend. I could go with clergy again. I think I put clergy in the other one. Kind of ties, to me, that's kind of ties in with representative. So the clergy is the kind of lay person's representative to a god or gods of some description. I mean, I could split friend into a slimeful. I'm looking at adventure sparks for getting adventures started. So looking at questions that, like prompts for questions to help, roll on some tables and get some ideas for getting an adventure started. And I'm currently on how do the PCs know this? So I've looked at what's the antagonist's main motivation, what problem faces the antagonist, who is the antagonist's main rival, how do the PCs know the rival, what mission does the rival have for the PCs. That's it at the moment. So, yeah. And I'm trying to keep this nice and vague so it can be used across genres to a certain extent. Yeah. So, how do the PCs know the rival? I'm kind of realizing I'm running out of steam as well. How do the PCs know the rival? It could be a relative, a friend, a representative, an employer. Clergy, I'm not super happy with. What am I missing here? I'll come back to this. So, what mission does the rival have for the PCs? infiltration mission, a delivery mission, an info gathering mission. A chaos sewing mission. So infiltration is all about sneaking in and... I mean, info gathering is kind of the same, but you don't necessarily need to infiltrate. That could also, infiltration could do lots of other things. You could deliver something. So chaos. In fact, infiltration is a little bit too vague because there's lots of other things I could split this into to make it a bit more specific. A theft mission, for example. Let's go and steal something. Rescue mission. Yeah, I like that. Rescue mission. I'm trying to keep these missions non-violent as well. So that's yeah. I mean, they might go violent, but I don't want them to be like assassinations or battles or anything like that. That doesn't interest me so much. Also because this is quite a deadly system, so I don't want to make it too combat heavy. Cool. Let's see one more. You mentioned someone who used to be on the side of the antagonist. I've got that as like, who is the antagonist's main rival? I've got like an associate, an ex-lover, an opponent, a mentor. That kind of falls into that category there. In terms of how do the PCs know the rival, I guess it could also be one of these things. It could be, I've got, like, friend is a little bit, like, wide open here. But yeah. Yeah. I want to leave some of these open-ended because I'm kind of, I feel myself slowly running out of steam, and I think I've got about another 10 to 15 minutes left in me. So I know this is going to be another TBC generator, mission generator. Because I've got the 6 missions over here, and then I have 6 mission generators in the middle here. And now I just want to come up with some other ideas here. So this is what I wanted to use this, this book. Oh, that was book 1 already. Monster types. I wanted to skip all that and go to book 4 then. Sabotage mission. Yeah, kind of. I think sabotage ties into the genre quite specifically too. Maybe not. Yeah, kind of chaos song, I think. Book 4, right. Right. It's interesting. Aerial adventures, castles and ruins, cities and settlements, wilderness adventures. Not sure this is what I want. Nope, this is not what I want. Locations in a city. Again, I don't want to make this necessarily a city thing, but I could provide various different things. So I could say, for example, locations in the city. Locations in a village. Locations in the wilderness. Very fantasy based there. But I mean, you could use a doesn't actually necessarily need to be fantasy. A city could be, if I keep it generic, it could be a city in any genre. Village can be, instead of village, I can call it remote settlement. Locations in the wilderness. Okay. Yeah. Alright, I like that. So just some kind of interesting locations to come up with, and... Oops. Oh my god. Not sure why I'm doing this right now. Anyway. Locations in a city, locations in a remote settlement, locations in the wilderness. Yeah. It is a bit hard. I'll come up with it though. I'll manage it. I think I've nearly there in terms of like just thinking about the overall kind of top level stuff. Rumors. Rumors is a good one to have. Let me look at Pitchfork again. Pitchfork. I'm trying about using this more. Pitchfork. Threads. I can do external threads. I did rumors in the past as well. Village rumors. My rumors there. Got my locations, landmarks, oddities. Well, anyway, I can do rumors is definitely one. I'm missing one. I'm missing one. I deleted it before. It was something like, what is happening? It was kind of like what is happening in this. I was gonna write like what is happening in the city, but the idea was that like what's happening right now. So what is happening right now? And the idea is being like you could mention that there's like something going on in the place that you're in. Like there's a visiting group of like a famous celebrity has been spotted, or I don't know, something kind of that seems external, but you could maybe tie it in. What unrelated event is happening right now? Yeah, current events. This kind of ties in with rumors, actually. So if I put this like this one at the bottom here. What is everyone gossiping about? What is everyone... What current event is everyone talking about? So one is about current events. One is about rumors and gossip. What's the hot gossip everyone is whispering about? There we go. All right. So, finish these. We've got one more category to come up with, and that is another mission type. I can do that. I'm sure I can do that tonight. I don't want to stop before I've at least got that. So, what mission does Arrival have for the PCs? I'm going to crack open Coriolis. If I haven't got it open already over here, I don't. I'm going to quickly open it. Because Coriolis has some really nice mission generators, and I just want to look at them to see if I've got any ideas I can kind of pinch from it. The Atlas Compendium. Where is my Atlas Compendium? There it is. So open with Zodo. Alright, I'm going to skip through here a little bit. Let me see if I can get the... No bookmarks. Damn. Mission generators. So we look at agent missions. Infiltration, information gathering. I forgot these already. Cool. Espionage. Nope. Kidnapping. Nope. Couriers. I've mentioned about delivery, but yeah. Protection. Protection could be a good one. Yeah, the rival needs protection. That's a really good one, actually. Yeah. Let me see if there's any better ones, because some of these, like, delivery is kind of like, eh. Infiltration. What do they have for infiltration? Undercover infiltration of a base to obtain data, identify leaders, or investigate the organization. Information gathering. Gather information from tags. Let's see, the info gathering seems a little bit less interesting to me. I've got complications and stuff. Right, and we've got mercenaries. Reconnaissance, assault, defend, reinforce, seek and destroy, protect a resource, locate resource, rescue, raid, investigation. Investigation is good, actually, instead of info gathering. It makes it a little bit more focused. So instead of an info gathering, we're going to call it investigation. I like that. Which is kind of the same thing. Doing a lot of info gathering when you're investigating something. And then theft. I'm not so sure about theft. I think theft is a little bit too obvious on the nose. Maybe something like infiltration could go back in here, because investigation and infiltration aren't really the same thing now. But let's have a look here. We got explorers, excavation, collection, survey, secure outpost, assist a colony, artifact hunt, investigation, find information, prospecting, rescue and expedition, and big game hunt. Nah. Pilgrims. Pilgrimage, supply run, monastery visit, establish a missionary colony, missionary trip, construct a temple, acquire a relic. Acquire a relic. Indiana Jones style. Got anything like that? It's kind of theft, isn't it? Maybe there's something with the theft. I just need to think of the different word. Free traders. They don't really have missions. They have destinations because they're just hauling goods. Obtain a resource. got a lot of delivery. Seems a little, yeah, it seems a little lackluster to me as well. There was a word for, there was a different word for this, which I think was with the agent. Let me go back to that. Courier. I mean, it's the same thing, isn't it? I'm gonna leave it at delivery. It's kind of the same thing. We can either deliver, yeah. Investigation. Sow chaos. Rescue. Protection. Well, I've got 6 here. It's the kind of the theft one and the delivery one I'm not as keen on, but I think I've probably got enough here to work with. Yeah. Theft, delivery. Let me put these in alphabetical order as well. I think chaos sewing probably is a better word for it, grammatically. Chaos delivery, investigation, protection. Rescue. Generator. Generator. Let's add the A in there, shall we? Alrighty. All right. So, a few things to work on then are trying to think about how the PCs know the rival. 2 additional ones here. We've got relative, friend, representative, employer. 2 more. One of them could be that they don't know. So we could tie in with this unknown one. It could be stranger. So there's this level of mystery that kind of goes with this. This is in alphabetical order almost. I didn't even mean it to be, so I'll just swap these around to make it that way. Kind of interesting. I'll do that later, maybe here. What problem faces the antagonist? We talked about chaos and greed and infamy, power, reform, and revenge. So what's the problem with that? I'll come up with this later. I think I'm about done. Whoa, that's a big yawn. Yeah, that's the sign. I gotta get up. I got a new job I started recently, and I've got to get up quite early in the morning for it. So yeah, I'm not gonna be pulling an all-nighter on this. Cool. I quite like this actually. I've got 6 + 6 + 5, so I've got 17 D6 tables to kind of try and come up with, you know, ideas to help inspire some adventures and trying to keep them relatively, genre non-specific is difficult. but I'm pretty sure I can come up with it. So possibly some of the things are not to think about word count, like thinking about lots, like a big word count, but also just going with these single word answers, right? Because you can probably roll on some of these, like, what's the antagonist's main motivation? Let's roll d6. A 6. Revenge. Who's their main rival? 5. A ruler. They want revenge on a ruler. How do the PCs know this ruler? 3. It's a representative. Okay. What mission does the rival have for them? Theft. I mean, I don't need anything more than that. Then I would roll on the theft mission generator and have, like, there be sort of some specifics about what kind of thing needs to be. What's the MacGuffin that needs to be stolen? Or, you know, what's the nature of the thing that needs to be stolen? Roll on that. And then, is it in a city? Is it somewhere remote? Is it in the wilderness? Roll for some locations that might be a little bit more interesting. And maybe I don't need to have anything more than that, but I'm kind of thinking I would spell it out a little bit. Like, what does chaos mean exactly as their main motivation? And just a short sentence to kind of describe that. Good, thanks, Slimeful. For me, the idea here is that this is something I would also, as a GM, like to see in more games, especially genre-specific, genre-neutral, or... No, what's the word? Setting agnostic games like this, where you don't, it's not tied to any specific genre or setting. It's basically just a framework to run a role-playing game. That's all well and good, but how do you come up with some ideas for stories and things? And that's, I think, what I'm trying to do here, to try and help come up with some ideas. Yeah, and that's kind of it. You obviously don't need to roll on these. You can just look at them and come up with some ideas. The other thing is, if I think about how settings are going to be created, I want settings to have plot hooks, like at least a D6 set of plot hooks that come with them in amongst all the other stuff. I want settings to be on 2 pages. So basically, just like with this, you print off 2 pages of a setting. It gives you how to tweak the rules in terms of what you have here, making a setting, right? Do you want to change the attributes? Like, what are the changes made to the setting? Do that. That'll be a small section. Then it'll have a section on like adventure hooks. It'll have a section which will detail a number of NPCs that are kind of key to it, and that sort of thing. So you kind of get like the bare bones of what's needed for running an adventure in that setting, along with potentially some plot hooks and maybe even like a campaign hook, that sort of a thing. Yeah, and that's kind of it. There might be even a big campaign coming up in the future. I've had some ideas for running a campaign with Year Zero Mini, or like a single type of campaign tied into a setting, but making it really sandboxy. So literally keeping this format where every page has a different function for the kind of sandbox, but then it's basically just creating an OSR supplement. Yeah, which is basically just tools for making a sandbox and lots of random tables and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm done for tonight. I'm gonna leave it here. So thank you everyone who a twist table. Oh. I'm just gonna add that here because where could I put that? Twist. I mean, it's the twist to do with these missions, right? Yeah, no, that's too good to leave. I'm gonna ditch the current event because I like it. I prefer the gossip because the gossip is a little bit more like rumors and what you hear on the ground, right? And the unrelated event that's happening right now could be a current event, right? So that's the current events. Kind of doubling up there a little bit. So we're gonna put a twist in here. I think that's a good idea. Mission twist. All right, nice. I like that. I I think actually Coriolis has that too. Let me just open that very quickly and have a look. Agents, mission, location, complications. It's kind of the same thing. So I can look there for some ideas on like what kind of complications there could be that would work with any of these 6 different options. Yeah. In fact, you could even look at this for some of the other categories they have here. We've got location. I'm already talking about location to a certain extent. We're talking about employer. So who's hiring them? How do they know them? What are the rewards? Mission type. Well, that's something different. Yeah, so I've kind of got most of those kind of addressed in one way or another. Yeah, all right, I'm happy with that, even though it's not very fleshed out. So, yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna stop here. So, thank you very much, everyone who is talking to me in chat, and thanks for watching. And if you haven't done it already, if you could hit subscribe and like, it helps me grow the channel. And I will be back next week GMing Forbidden Lands, the season finale for that. And then the rest of January, as I said at the beginning of this video, will be taken up with finishing off the various actual plays that have been running. Season finales for all of them as the next episodes coming up. And once they're done, Coriolis and Alien will be starting up. Coriolis in February and Alien in March. And both of those actual plays are going to be run every 2 weeks on alternating weeks. Yeah, every Sunday night. So looking forward to that. I haven't run or played a proper sci-fi campaign in a very long time, it feels like. I've been kind of mainly doing fantasy related stuff. So or kind of modern what's the word? God, I'm tired. Modern or fantasy, basically, or somewhere in between, like Vazen. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to going into the future and getting my sci-fi kick out of that. So yeah, that's all to come. So thank you very much again. And if you have any comments or any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or reach out on Discord. There's links to Discord and everything else in the description. Also in the description is who I should probably give a shout out. I haven't done this very much, but a shout out for the music. The music I'm using that you're hearing in the background is from Tabletop Audio. It's the track Quiet Cove. So big thanks to Tabletop Audio for allowing people like me to use their audio. And that's me done. So thanks very much, and catch you next time. Bye-bye.